Hello all, welcome back once again to another interesting episode under the Azadi Ka Andar Dulha story series by Mr. Murthy's. Today I am going to talk about another common man considering the last 2 days trend who has actually become the chief architect of the modern India, and he is the key person who we Indians have to thank for for the reason that why India is looking like how it is today. He's the moment we say, he's the person who is responsible for the current day's look of India and how India is looking today. All the other stuff, most of the people will remember Sardar Vallabhai Patel, as he is the most, he is the man who has unified all the princely states in India. But do you know who is actually the backbone who had done all the backbreaking work in unifying all the princely states? It's none other than VP Menon. He is the backbone of Sardar Vallabhai Patel and also the chief architect of the modern India. So it was the year 1946 when Lord Mountbatten had arrived in India during February month, and he as the last viceroy of India, and he is the person who is actually responsible for signing the agreement between for the transfer of power between the British Raj, the British government, and the Indian nationalist leaders that belong to both Muslim League as well as the Indian Congress. And his main duty while coming to that was told by the British Parliament while coming to India is that he should try to stop the division of India and Pakistan, not the bifurcation of India and Pakistan into two different states, if as far as possible. But as soon as he arrived, and when he tried convincing the Indian nationalist leaders about the importance of staying unified, most of the leaders have vetoed it, and he was actually having no other say in that particular part. And when he came down to India, he came with his set of trusted aides who thought, whom he thought can help in his entire political responsibilities. But because they are from Britain, they didn't know much of the nativity conditions, and they don't have the full knowledge of people. I mean, about the Indian conditions. The person who he had trusted and who actually has helped in his final days as the last was Viceroy of India is none other than Mr. VP Menon, who worked at that point of time as a reforms commissioner and whom Lord Mountbatten had appointed as a principal political reforms commissioner at a later date. Now, you all must be asking, who is this VP Menon, isn't it? So, VP Menon actually has started his career as a low-end typist in the British Raj, the then British government from Shimla. But how he grew into the chief political reforms commissioner to and a trusted companion to Lord Mountbatten is a journey worth recounting many times, so that as it will inspire a lot of youngsters within India even today. When he started his job as a low end typist, he he didn't stop at that point of time after his office hours are over. He used to stay back in the dark bungalows or the offices where the British government used to work from, because he didn't have an official, I mean, he didn't have a proper home to stay. He should stay in those offices, spend his night time there. And while spending night time there, he was not spending time to enjoy or relax. He was going through all the files that were those officers were having to understand about the political situations, the geography of India, and to understand the different laws, the British Constitution, and stuff like that. That's how he spent time fruitfully in improving his knowledge. Already, he has a good grip on English, and while reading so many documents, his English knowledge also got improved. And the spark in this young chap was first identified by Sir William Hawthorne Lewis, who has given him promotions and made him a trusted content. And when Marcus Linthgow, the viceroy of India at that point of time, was given the responsibility to tour all the principal states and understand the Indian native conditions, which will aid him in coming up with the different agreements for the transfer of power between British Raj and the Indian nationalist leaders. He wanted basically a good typist who can type at a very fast rate and who can also understand his English. Then the most obvious choice for him was the VP Menon, who is actually proved already his metal to Sir William Hathorne Lewis. That's how VP Menon became a confidant of Linlithgow. And when Linlithgow was going for roundtable conferences with British Parliament along with other few other nationalist leaders from India, VP Menon is the first Indian non-ICS officer that is not in the civil services department, but as a trusted confidant of Lintigo, has attended all these roundtable conferences, which were making the major decisions about how to transfer the power, what to do with the different assets, and all the other lot of other integrities. Uh, but if you honestly want to still dig little deeper as to from where he's come from, he, Mr. VP Menon, actually called as Vapala Pannuguni Menon. Vapala is his family name. Pannuguni is his first name, but somehow got lost during his journey of the life. Started his life in a very small village called Pannamana in Kerala. Pannamana is such a small village that it's very difficult to find it out in the Google Maps. But you can see its nearby town Ottapalam in Kerala, which is like little famous. His dad used to work as a headmaster in the nearby school, and he has 12 children. VP Menon is the eldest among all, and during one of his dad's conversations with his mother, which VP Menon overheard, dad was expressing his inability to educate all these 12 children, and as because of the mounting expenses of the education at that point of time. Hearing this, VP Menon took a very bold decision at that point of at a tender age of around 14 years itself, 13, 14 years itself, that he if he goes out of the house, his dad's burden will be reduced to certain extent as because he being the eldest, his expenses on the education for him are more. So he ran away from the house and started working as a laborer to meet his travel expenses and his daily needs. And finally, he got, he could find himself a good job in the Kolar goldfields. Of course, again, once again, it's a day laborer's job only, but he was getting good amount of money. But his goal and his aim didn't let him sleep there also in peace because he knew at that point of time itself what are his positive skills, what are his difficult, negative skills and stuff like that. He knew that he has a good grasp on English, and with this positive skill or with this asset, he can definitely find a better job and a better position if he moves into metros. And that's when he started looking out for jobs in Bangalore, the nearby metro, which is Bangalore, at that point of time. And he got a job as a stenographer in the local tobacco company, and he started slowly getting settled there, but his ambitions and his fire in belly never let him stay there too. Because with his interactions with Britishers and other people, he felt that he can get a better job in the British government offices, and he felt that he should move to the summer capital, that is Shimla, at that point of time, so that he can get a better job, better pay, and with this better pay, he can help his family back home. So once again, he started his journey from Bangalore to Shimla, and finally, after reaching Shimla, he could find a low-end typist job, which he started in which he started working. And when he started working, he could impress his bosses, and that's how he became a confidant of Lindsay Go, and finally he became confidant of Lord Mountbatten, isn't it? And it is during 1946 the interim government was formed in India. We all know this from our Indian history books, right? And that is when VP Menon got a chance to work closely with Sardar Vallabhai Patel, who is one of the ministers in the interim government. When the when the then viceroy before Mountbatten, Viscount Wavell, started working on different agreements with the Indian nationalist leaders like Jinnah, Gandhiji, Nehru. and everybody. He was getting into more difficult situations and cornering situations where he was not able to convince anybody. And we need to remember the Shimla Agreement was also failed in 1945. So it is VP Menon who was actually giving him some of the solutions as to how he can come out of those difficult or dicey situations, and how he can convince all these different nationalist leaders. Because by then he has already started mingling with all these nationalist leaders like Nehru, Gandhiji, Sardar Vallabhai Patel, Jinnah. So he was able to read their minds. He was able to understand their fancies, how they can behave in different situations and stuff like that. So he has become a guiding person for the then Viceroy Viscount Wavell as well. And after the interim government got formed, he started working on all these agreements with Wavell as well as Sardar Vallabhai Patel, and by with the more number of encounters which he was having with Sardar Vallabhai Patel. Viscount Wavell at one point of time felt that VP Menon is becoming a mouthpiece of Sardar Vallabhai Patel. There is no deny that shows the attraction between these two people, right? Sardar Vallabhai Patel and VP Menon. And because both their ideologies were matching at that point of time itself. And no wonder Sardar Vallabhai Patel started trusting VP Menon like anything. Then coming back to our 1946, 1947, when Lord Mountbatten is working as the Viceroy of India, he came, as I told you, he came from London with his own trusted confidence, right? And with as soon as he came, he met all the Indian nationalist leaders and proposed a plan, his initial plan, should I call it, saying that we should be granting independence for all the princely states within India, all the 565 princely states within India and Pakistan together, and let these princely states conduct a plebiscite within their region, and then choose whether they have to join India or Pakistan. This will definitely result into civil war as per VP Menon's prediction. And VP Menon strongly has set his foot down to even before the Indian nationalist leaders could say so, saying that if this is the proposal on which British Raj and the Indian nationalist leaders are going to work, then there is no use of him to continue in the British Raj, and he's going to go away. He has given his resignation papers to Lord Mountbatten. And Indian nationalist leaders were thinking about the pros and cons of this proposal from Lord Mountbatten. Some of the prominent of them are denying it. Some of them are still discussing that there might be some possible benefits because of that to them and stuff like that. At that point of time, Lady Edwina Mountbatten has stepped into this confusion and convinced BP Menon to accompany Lord Mountbatten, who was going for a small vacation to Shimla to relax because of all this confusion and tensions. And on the other side, she convinced Mountbatten to take VP Menon because VP Menon has some proposal up in his sleeve, which he can discuss. He will discuss with Lord Mountbatten when he is at a more calm and he is easygoing manner amidst the beautiful nature and scenery at Shimla. After discussing with Lady Edwina Mountbatten, Mountbatten had agreed with Menon to come along with him, and he also invited Nehru, Sardar Vallabhai Patel, and few other prominent leaders from the Indian Nationalist Council, or should I say Muslim League, and everybody. And then in Shimla, VP Menon could convince Lord Mountbatten, Nehru, Sardar Vallabhai Patel, and everybody about the benefits of India getting independence with the dominion status. You all know about dominion status, right? Though India gets independence on a particular date, the overall control of India still will reside with Britishers for a certain point of time. And during that period, India should be able to come up with their own constitution, their own rules and regulations, and how they can oversee the day-to-day administration of this Indian subcontinent. Till that point of time, the dominion status, the overall control will lie with Britishers. And Lord Mountbatten was kind of okay with this proposal, but he said that the Indian nationalist leaders like uh, uh, Nehru, Jinnah, Vallabhai Patel, and everybody should agree for this. Then only he will go ahead with this plan. For that, VP Menon has told in a very casual way, Jim, he's already discussed the benefits of this plan with Sardar Vallabhai Patel, and Sardar Vallabhai Patel has already agreed to it. So it's only Nehruji who has to agree for this, and he said that he has confidence that he can convince Nehruji in the next day's meeting. As expected, Nehruji went to Shimla to meet Lord Mountbatten, and then Lord Mountbatten and VP Menon sat together with Nehruji and then discussed about this new plan, which Nehruji has accepted immediately. And then Lord Mountbatten has asked VP Menon to come up with a detailed draft proposal about the new plan in which India and Pakistan will get independence with a dominion status. And VP Menon has took almost 6 hours of time from that day's lunch till dinner, sat in his room, drafted this, came up with this draft, including all the legal process and everything, and then both the Lord Mountbatten called all the required Indian national leaders from both Muslim League and Indian Congress side, and finally they had signed this agreement, which was presented to the British Parliament, and British Parliament approved it, and that's how we got independence on 15th August 1947, instead of getting independence in 1948 as per the original Britishers' plan. But when this plan was approved by British Parliament, most of the Indian nationalist leaders, both from Indian Congress side as well as Muslim League side, started going in a celebratory mood, saying, "Yes, finally their struggles have reached a conclusion." There are two people in the entire country who knew that it's not going to be a simple task going forward, and there is a huge responsibility that lies on their shoulders. I mean, they were taking it up on their shoulders because they knew the importance and the gravity of the situation at that point of time. They still have to convince all the 565 princely states to join the country, India or Pakistan. Of course, they don't have to talk to the princely states in Pakistan side as per the uh, demarcation lines that were divided. But what about the other 500 plus or 555 or princely states? And then even on top of it, Gandhiji has called Sardar Vallabhai Patel and mentioned that it is he's putting a heavy responsibility on Sardar Vallabhai Patel's shoulders, because he knows that it's only he who can fulfill this responsibility of convincing all these princely states to join them. So it's finally it ended up on coming down as expected on Vallabhai Patel and VP Menon's shoulders. And Sardar Vallabhai, then for which Sardar Vallabhai Patel said that he can pick up only, I mean, he can fulfill this responsibility only if he's given choice to pick up people whom he trusts, who he think are capable of handling this responsibility. And he chose VP Menon for this task. And VP Menon has taken help of Sam Manekshaw at that time, who is a military general in the British Raj. I mean, in the India, from the Indian side, who finally rose in ranks and became the first Field Marshal of India. And VP Menon, along with Sam Manekshaw ji, have gone to visit each and every princely state, spoken to their heads eye to eye in person, and convinced them about the benefits of signing the accession form and joining the Indian Union. And this accession form, we should remember that this accession form was prepared by Sardar Vallabhai Patel in a single day's time, and it's a single form that was used both by Pakistani government as well as the Indian government. After, when VP Menon is talking to all these princely states as per the directions of Sardar Vallabhai Patel, and giving them different grants as per their whims and fancies of the heads of the various princely states. Another huge task lay in front of them about convincing both Nehru and Gandhiji, because certain princely states had to be coerced, threatened, pushed into a corner to sign this accession form. And sometimes these threats were going much against the non-violence philosophy of these two great leaders. But still, the task needs to be accomplished, right? They cannot, even if they let one single princely state slip away from their hands, the entire exercise will become futile. So it's again VP Menon who was actually going and talking to Gandhiji, Jawaharlal Nehruji, and convincing them about techniques which they are using, negotiation techniques which they are using in convincing all these princely states. The tough ones are the Hyderabad, Junagadh, Jodhpur, Kashmir, Lakshadweep, and some other princely states, whatever may be the cases. In fact, he has put his life on the front line at some points of time, because especially the Junagadh head has agreed after a lot of negotiations from with Sardar Vallabhai Patel, Lord Mountbatten, VP Menon, that he will sign the accession form. And finally, when he started putting his signature down halfway, I don't know what happened in his mind. He stood up from the table, took the gun from his back pocket, and put it on directly on the temples of VP Menon. They were standing so close, you can imagine, and said that you are the main culprit for this entire thing. If I shoot you away, all the heads of the princely states will have a happy sight, because they can join whichever country they would like to. That itself shows the amount of responsibility VP Menon was carrying on his shoulders at that point of time. Of course, luckily he was saved by Sardar Vallabhai Patel and Lord Mountbatten from the tricky situation. But there are certain people who have passed away in his hands, the heads of some British states after signing the accession form, because they couldn't take up the tension. A lot of things happened, and all these tales have been clearly documented in his book Integration of the Indian States and the Transfer of Power in India. His granddaughter connected the missing personal life link from his political achievements to the back to the family in the book written by Narayani Basu, who is his great granddaughter, in the book called VP Menon. All these books are available in Amazon, and you can read them for more further information. I hope you like this story for today. The reason why I picked up this story is that behind each and every, I mean, to be honest, the way India is looking today is mainly because of the hard work of so many people, not just rajas, queens, maharajas, or emperors. Even every single common man has sacrificed so much from his family life, personal life, and everything. And their thought process has shaped what India is today. And so, at least under this Azadi Kamit Mahotsav story celebrations, we should pay our tributes to these common people, and that is why I'm capturing common people in the coming segment. I hope you like this story for today. Let us meet with another interesting story tomorrow. Bye bye till then.